This is not the best matchup, but it's not terrible. Once. Do they double shield? This would be huge if they double shield. I really want to get rid of this Nidoqueen before it locks into my... Oh, they double shield. Yes. All right. Yeah. Samurott, you're a beast! Shields down. Double debuffed with Razor Shells. Hey everyone, I hope you had a good Samurott community day, and hopefully you saved a good Samurott for Ultra League, because I got a spicy Samurott team for you all. If you follow me on Twitter, you have seen that I caught a rank 1 shiny Ultra League Samurott during community day. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I definitely have to make this work somehow. And to my surprise, this team actually worked better than any other team I made this season so far. This team is so good, I gained over 400 elo points in 3 days. And I didn't even do all my sets in all those 3 days. And I was able to even make it onto the leaderboard. So the team is Samurott with Pidgeot and Mandibuzz. I'm actually running 2 water charge when we saw him Samurott. For coverage purposes, it's actually quite bad. But I've actually found that Razor Shell actually comes in handy quite a bit. I'm running standard movesets on Pidgeot, and then I'm running the Snarl Dark Pulse variant for Mandibuzz. I personally like how much harder Dark Pulse hit. Pidgeot and Mandibuzz are a little bit more expensive investments. Replacements for these can be other flyers such as Crobat and Gyarados. Before we get into footage, a big shout out and thank you to all my patrons who've been supporting my content creation. If you'd like to also have early access to my strategies and lineups, feel free to sign up in the link down below. Alright. So, against Jellicent lead, again, without really any coverage moves, even with Megahorn or Blizzard, you're not going to do well against Jellicent, so you definitely want to get out of that matchup. I tried to catch a Shadow Ball there, but my opponent actually throws an Ice Beam, and I draw out a Alolan Raichu. So this is something that people are probably going to ask. The whole team loses electric types. How are you going to deal with electric type Pokemon? Here's the thing. Most electric types don't resist water moves. Actually, I don't even know if... Yeah, maybe a few of them will resist it. Oh, cat is out of here today. But anyway, so I choose to stay in here. I'm farming up a lot more energy, just so I have more energy to deal with the Raichu in the back end. Yes, you know, the back end Pokemon aren't great against electrics either, but we're going to see if we can make this work. So my opponent does swap out here, and I found myself in an okay matchup, right? We saw the Ice Beam earlier. So this means that there's less likely that, yeah, I can't get debuffed here, right? But I'm going to get hit quite hard with the Ice Beam here, and they have a Gliscor in the back. So I do try to go for a snipe here. I'm going with the Razor Shell, again, really able to bait out shields pretty effectively, able to get to a Hydro Cannon right after that to take him out, and then the Raichu is able to get Fury Coated down. Galvantula, also a very tough Pokemon to deal with this line, and I'll show you how to deal with it afterward too. But hard losing lead, hard losing counter swap, and having a more neutral matchup in the back end, is still able to make it work. Alright, so here I'm tossing Razor Shells, 50% chance of debuffing your opponent's defense. Alright, so this Lapras unfortunately is also running Skull Bash. It's possible that if they're running the Ice Beam variant, you can do okay because you're resisting all the Lapras moves, even though they're resisting yours. But as you can see with the debuffs, even though they have some Skull Bash defense boosts, you could do okay here. So I am going to throw a Feather Dance here. Brave Bird is probably the safer play because a lot of people don't shield the Pidgeot. But I end up just going for the debuff instead, and then now I'm going to go for the nuke. So down a shield, seeing what they have in the back is going to be a Shadow Crobat. Now this thing is going to start hitting this Mandibuzz quite hard, especially with the Poison Fangs. But having that Samurott still alive in the back is really good. Keeping Pokemon alive in Ultra League in the back in general is a good move because you potentially can have timeout losses too, right? Or wins. So having more Pokemon in the back is always nice. Going to try to catch a Poison Fang, which I do, and this also clears the debuffs on my Mandibuzz, which is quite nice. Obviously, because Dark Pulse is a little bit more energy than Aerial Ace, sometimes you do have to bait with the Aerial Ace. My opponent does get baited there, and then I did have enough for Dark Pulse there, but I kind of panicked and threw the Aerial Ace. Luckily, it worked out because they actually came in with their Lapras to catch the Aerial Ace, and yeah, I'm gonna go for another aerial ace right here to KO the Crobat with just a little bit of sliver health. Obviously, if you have both Pidgeot and Mandibuzz as options here, I personally like to best buddy the Mandibuzz because you're using the Pidgeot in most situations as a safe swap. So I'd rather have more bulk on the Pokemon that I'm hoping to sweep the back end with, which is Mandibuzz. It's usually my finishing Pokemon, my closer. Once in a while it might be Pidgeot, but for the most part it's usually the Mandibuzz. Alright, so going for debuffs here. Interesting double flyer team right here. I am going to just let this go. Really getting those debuffs is huge for Pidgeot. I'm going to keep letting these moves go and just commit to a farm down here. Yeah, recognizing, okay, yeah, so got a little greedy there, so I'm gonna have to shield this aerial ace, and then they try to snipe me down, but fortunately I drop a move and able to get the debuff on this Gyarados, so that's actually quite nice. Yeah, all these moves are not going to really hurt too much. It is actually a waterfall Gyarados, so it's not nearly as bad as a potential Dragon Breath Gyarados, but it's still not great for Samurott, right? So fully loaded on energy, going to throw this aerial ace and see what they come in with, and it's going to be a Charmer, so it's going to be Ninetales. So again, this is where should you bait or should you not bait? I'm choosing not to bait here. I end up going for that Hydro Cannon, and let's see if I live this Side Shock. I do live this Side Shock just barely, so able to get off another Hydro Cannon here. And this, yeah, this Ninetales is very low on health. So let's see what they do. I do have the Feather Dance loaded still on my Pidgeot, and now able to finish off there. Going to concede the match right there. So yeah, Charmer's them back. Definitely a little bit tougher with Mandibuzz, but if you have other Pokemon still alive, you have a little bit of play. I'm gonna go straight for the Hydro Cannon here. Probably could go on Razor Shell. Most will probably shield that first move anyway. And then I catch a discharge on my Mandibuzz here. So again, Galvantula, a very tough Pokemon to deal with. Electros in general, but Galvantula as well, because it's just so hard hitting and has a lot of play. Honestly, I think Alolan Raichu is actually a little bit worse because it resists the flying damage too from Pidgeot, whereas Galvantula is taking neutral there. But anyway, I decided to swap over here to my what do you call it, Samurott, and after getting baited with the first Rock Slide, I know the second one's definitely going to be a Rock Slide. They come in with their Galvantula, and then they get their moves off here. Maybe I should have shielded this. They go straight for the Discharge, so that would have been really nice because they wouldn't have been able to debuff me, but I am going to shield this. My opponent's not playing around, not even lunging, just going straight for the hard-hitting discharges. I'm in a tough spot now, yeah, they have DD here. That's going to be a really tough matchup in general. Very bulky, so able to handle the Brave Bird, no problem. And I had the Dark Pulse ready, but the thing is, yeah, I can't finish off this DD and it's going to take me out. So Galvantula, I've only faced a few in this meta because of all the G-Fists. They're not nearly as common as you would think. And they've been close. Some of them have been close, some of them have not been. But it's definitely a very tough Pokemon to deal with in general. I think that was probably one of my closer matchups. I don't think I've ever beaten one yet. You saw earlier I was able to beat Alolan Raichu at least. But yeah, it's a tough one to say the least. All right. So my opponent comes in here with Dragalge lead. So really hard. Not a great mon to deal with for this Samurott, so I definitely come back in with the Samurott here to handle the Scav and hopefully be able to handle this Dragalge in the back with my Mandibuzz. We haven't seen their last Pokemon yet, but the Dragalge is lower on health, so you definitely have to watch out for that Outrage. But able to get a Snarl through, so I'm going to just shield, and unfortunately I get hit by an Aqua Tail. But it doesn't look like they had enough for Outrage right away, so I am going to throw my Dark Pulses at this Jellicent. Again, Dark Pulses hitting a little bit harder than Foul Play, and in a situation where you could get one move off there before you get debuffed, you know, definitely the Dark Pulse makes a little more sense than the Foul Play. I also tend to prefer Dark Pulse in general because it's less spammy, which means that there's much less opportunities for your opponents to sneak in fast moves when you're throwing your charge moves, right? Because you're throwing less, because Dark Pulse is a little more energy. It's also just a slightly bit more energy efficient than Foul Play. All right, So in this specific scenario, Shadow Dragonite, not a great lead at all. And my opponent also swaps into a Shadow Lapras, also a terrible counter swap. I'm going to go straight for the Brave Bird, either grabbing a shield or doing a good chunk of damage, able to really whittle it down, and then I'm just going to try to Fury Cutter this thing down. So they throw right away, so I know this can't be a Skull Bash, and then I'm just going to farm this all the way down. Shadow Dragonite probably doesn't want to take a Hydro Cannon either, even though it's walls off all of my moves, fast moves included. But yeah, let's see, we do grab a shield, very nice there, and then I am able to get to this Dark Pulse again, doing a bunch of damage, right? And I'm going to shield what might be an Outrage, ends up being just a Dragon Claw, that's fine, and I don't really mind this matchup too much. You know, even though that DD does have super effective moves against Mandibuzz, just want to see what it is first, and then I'm going to throw this next Dark Pulse here. At this point, I'm okay with just getting KO'd here. So they go for a Thunderbolt because I can just farm down. I have a shield advantage. I'm going to go for the Razor Shell debuff, right? Let's see if we get it. And we do. But Razor Shell at this range too, also able to KO. So it's just way easier to have that than two Hydro Cannons. I don't think I would have actually won that matchup if I had only Hydro Cannon and no lower NG move, right? So again, Razor Shell, weird choice. I agree, but it's not the end of the world. All right, now obviously without Mega Horn, without Blizzard, you're gonna be quite bad against Venusaur. You have only neutral damaging Fury Cutter and completely resisted charge moves. So my opponent swaps in Umbreon here. Here's a beautiful thing about Pidgeot: unless it come in with a hard check to it, you can often win switch advantage here. So I'm going to try to win switch advantage here against this Umbreon. I double shield, right? I'm fully committed. I do not want that Venusaur on my Samurott. It's an interesting swap by my opponent here. So I'm thinking they probably don't have a good flyer check in the back, which is a little surprising because they are running a Venusaur lead. They actually come in Stunfisk here. So very interesting for sure. I probably should have just gone Brave Bird because they could swap out anyway. But they actually come in Stunfisk here. So this means that they probably should have brought that into the Pidgeot. But either way, now I have my Mandibuzz locked into this Venusaur. So this is going to be an interesting one because these Sludge Bombs are definitely going to start adding up. Venusaur is still a very hard-hitting Pokemon. And so let's see if we can overcome the 2 shield advantage or not. And obviously, the Samurott is not the best. It doesn't tank GFIS moves very easily either, right? So that's something to consider. But I am going to hopefully grab both shields here, and then they actually swap over. So luckily I timed it because you always want to be cautious of potential snipes there. I'm going to over farm here and make sure that I get enough before they get to that Earthquake, and now able to finish off the Venusaur with, not able to finish off yet, but again, wouldn't have gotten to that Hydro Cannon anyway. We went on timeout. Mandibuzz would have been able to handle the Venusaur either way. All right, against Charm leads, letting Charms through per usual. But against Charm leads, you definitely want to stay in and just throw these Hydro Cannons. If you start landing one, you could potentially swap out. No, I'm not going to swap out here. I'm going to just let the side shot go and then come in my Pidgeot. Pidgeot is going to do pretty well. For the most part, these gusts do a lot of damage, but you know, these charms are really adding up. So currently we're on even shields. I'm a Pokemon and a half down. They actually come in Umbreon here, so it's actually a good sign. Drop the Brave Bird, swap straight out. A lot of people don't shield that. I'm going to do a good chunk of damage here, and let's see what they have in the back. So they haven't swapped out yet, which is very interesting. It's possible it's the double dark team, very common core with the Charmer in the lead. But yeah, I'm going to just throw these Aero Aces, and it looks like they don't have the best check to Mandibuzz, so I'm just going to farm a little extra here and see what we can do. Mandibuzz not the hardest hitting Pokemon, so having charge moves and a lot of energy is definitely crucial. Alright, so I decided to snipe it down here with my Pidgeot. It actually is a Scavalier. So I'm going to go for the debuff here and go for another one. This is actually very huge. Let's see if, yeah, okay, so let's see how much this Mega Horn does. I actually still have a shield left, and then now I am going to go straight for the Dark Pulse. I probably should have gone Aerial Ace, but I knew after being debuffed 4 times on their attack stage, there was no way I was going to get KO'd. Alright, Ninetales. Obviously, Char Ninetales played like the Sylveon, but this one's Powder Snow Ninetales. Actually, a pretty good lead for Samurott because you are resisting all of that Powder Snow damage, and they have to throw Dazzling Gleam to hurt you. They come in DD here, so this is perfect because now I could get rid of that bad matchup with Mandibuzz against potentially a 9 by bringing in my Mandibuzz here. So I decided to shield here. I don't really want to get hit with a Psycho Boost later when I'm really low, so I'd rather shield a heavier energy or larger energy Thunderbolt. Alright, so my opponent here is going to throw a Weather Ball to whittle me down a little bit. They probably could have just farmed me down, but I do get to another Airway, so maybe it's actually a good call because yeah, this Mandibuzz is surviving quite a bit. Really good swap by them to go to Jellicent, so I do drop the ratio, and unfortunately don't get a debuff, but that's fine. And then against this Jellicent, it was a little too quick for Ice Beam, so I am going to go and start debuffing them, and I should be in a good spot because this Jellicent, even if it somehow takes out my Pidgeot, which doesn't look like it's about to, I should be able to handle it with the Samurott after. But again, you have to watch out for potential snipe downs. That Ninetales has a lot of energy, and they come in with the Weather Ball as I expected, so you got to really be watching your switch timer. I am going to get to that Razor Shell again, able to really close the gap on energy, and then I am going to shield this Dazzling Gleam, farm it all the way down. They are going to throw one last Weather Ball, and that's fine. At this point, I'm just going to throw the Hydro Cannon. No need to go for debuffs here. Shields are down, timer's coming up. Want as much health as possible, and able to finish the match right there. Alright, Galarian Stunfisk lead. Very solid lead, but again, you do have to watch out for those Earthquakes. Even the Rock sites are neutral. Samurott is not the bulkiest of Pokemon, to say the least. Alright, Escavalier counter safe swaps. You always go in with the Pidgeot here. You can tank the move after that first debuff. You come out with a decent amount of energy, and you know the G-Fist can't really much shot you down, so you can throw the Brave Bird, start chipping it away because one Hydro Cannon is definitely not enough to take this out. They do throw right before I get to another Brave Bird, and then here I come in with the Samurott. I'm gonna go for the Razor Shell bait. Let's see if they go for it, and they do go for it. So again, if it's G-Fist is still there with 2 shields, they're probably gonna want to shield, right? So going for another Razor Shell bait here, and then able to get it, and now we're gonna go straight Hydro Cannon. This Charmer is definitely bad news, so I definitely don't want to stay here. And then I am able to get to another Razor Shell here, which is actually quite nice, and get a debuff. Able to get to it before getting hit by this move. Again, without the Razor Shell, you really can't do that, right? You can't really pull off that matchup. So again, a very wonky moveset, but it's all good. Looks like we're both lagging a little bit here. Their move didn't do any damage, but at this point it wouldn't have really mattered even if it hit me. I'm still about like 5 or 6 rock slides away from getting KO'd, and my opponent is going to concede the match right there. Alright, Scrafty lead. Scrafty, or most fighters in general, what I like to do is throw a Hydro Cannon, then dip over to the Pidgeot. Pidgeot is going to do quite a bit of damage with these gusts, and they actually throw their Foul Play here too, right? In my opinion, I think the opponent probably should have held on to the energy, because they have a hard check G-Fist here, so there's really no need for them to throw their energy there. But they do go for almost a farm down, but they actually decide to throw their energy here, and I'm going to come back in with my Samurott. So definitely have to watch out for that Earthquake, so I'm going to shield just in case, and ends up being an Earthquake, and then I'm going to throw these Hydro Cannons. Let's see what they do. So I throw one, I'm going to throw another, see if they double shield or not here, and they do double shield. Maybe that was the time where I should have thrown the Razor Shells. Not throwing my bait moves when it looked like it was a good chance they double shield there, but that's all good. Going to throw the Airways. Obviously with Snarl, you don't have the best matchup against fighters. A lot of fighters actually could beat Mandibuzz when you're running Snarl, so just something to watch out for. Pidgeot's very good against most fighters. Samurott does okay, shields down, does a good chunk, even shields up. But just watch out for fighters because it could definitely be a slight pain with Snarl. But again, I like the Snarl just because you have a much better G-Fist matchup. And here we go. We do have a Venusaur in the back. I'm just going to throw as many Airways as possible because I don't really want this matched up against my Samurott. And I should be able to get to this last one. Sludge Bomb does not KO from this range, and able to get to that last Aerial Ace to seal the deal. And yep, able to wrap that up. And then we got a Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz lead, I like to play it similarly to the fighters. Why am I throwing a Razor Shell on this one? Okay. This must have been a really early game of me playing Mandibuzz. I think the play is to actually throw a Hydro Cannon and then dip. But I'm playing this matchup really weirdly, and that's fine. So let's see what happens here. I obviously include this footage for some reason, but that is not the ideal play I would play against a Mandibuzz. I would probably throw the Hydro Cannon and then dip, but it's all good. So 2 baits, neither get debuffs, and then I end up shielding too, and yeah. So going straight for the Brave Bird, able to either grab a shield there, or do a decent amount of damage. Really good no shield by my opponent, knowing that they're so livid. And then now I actually come in with the Mandibuzz just because I didn't really want to take too much damage on my Samurott. It has a lot of value still against Mandibuzz. And here they come in with the DD, so actually kind of nice. They actually catch the move on their Mandibuzz. I go for a Razor Shell at this point. This Razor Shell makes way more sense than the previous Razor Shells. And now able to do a lot of damage to the Mandibuzz and able to do a decent amount of damage to the DD. So Razor Shell again coming in. That's the 4th Razor Shell of this specific game. First 2 were very questionable. The last 2 much better decisions, and despite some misplays early on, still able to do pretty well against a pretty meta triple XL team. That's a fun thing about this line, right? Obviously you have 2 XLs with the Pidgeot and the Mandibuzz, so I'm not saying this is a non-XL team by any means, but Samurott is ranked in the 150s in Ultra League Remix. And to have still play against a lot of standard meta triple XL teams, yeah, it shows how strong this team could really be. But yeah, we draw the G-Fist again. I like to go straight Brave Bird here. My opponent does throw right before I get to another move, and then I'm going to come in here. In this situation, I'm going to go straight Hydro Cannon, see what they do, and they no shields, and they come in with a Ferrothorn, so really not great for my team. And they actually are running Thunder too, so that Thunder is actually probably the best moveset for my Mandibuzz. It's the only move that would do super effective against Mandibuzz. And they have it. So in this situation, don't want to shield that first poison thing for sure, but shielding that Thunder would have been nice. My opponent actually lets the Crobat go. And so I come in with my my Samurott here, maybe thinking I could go for like a timeout win or something. I do bait with the first one, able to land the second move. Looking like Samurott is able to take out a Ferrothorn here, which is quite unexpected, which shields up. This Samurott is putting in work here, able to get another debuff, and then finishing it off with the Aerial Ace. Again, Razor Shell coming in pretty clutch. So if you have a good Ultra League ranked Samurott saved from Community Day, and you're looking for a fun team to play in Ultra League Remix, I highly recommend this one. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like and share, subscribe for future content, hit that notification bell to get alerted right when I post a new video, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.